Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me today in the third Innovate Pasadena Ask Me Anything series. I am Phillip Leclair. I'm the CIO for the City of Pasadena. And I'll be with you for the next 30 minutes or so, giving you an overview of kind of what's been happening in Pasadena and how we're applying technology and solutions to a lot of the things that are happening recently, especially with COVID-19. But just a little bit about me first. I've been with the city since 2008, and I've been a transformational leader building the technology department of the city into an effective customer service and award-winning organization and really focusing on results. The Department of Information Technology that I lead has approximately 80 employees, and we provide a full range of technology support and solutions. Today's event is sponsored by Innovate Pasadena. And for those of you who don't know much about Innovate Pasadena, it's a volunteer-based nonprofit that helps elevate Pasadena as a center for creativity, innovation, research, and design. And they put on lots of events in the greater Pasadena area, such as this one, and they partner throughout the year to produce and increase access of technology, science, and arts programming to everyone at large. And City of Pasadena is a proud sponsor of Innovate Pasadena. And I recommend that you check out innovatepasadena.org for more details and to get on their mailing list if you haven't already. And I also want to do a quick shout out, thank you to Cayenne, who is helping organize this event. Also, one of the board members, Harrison Tang, will be helping out with the Q&A function. And then regarding Q&A, we're going to be using Zoom's Q&A function. So if you look into the ribbon, there is a Q&A button, and feel free at any time to submit a question that we hope to answer as we go. And but to start off, I'd like to provide you with a little bit of background on what the city's been doing for the last few months, and also a little bit about the city too. So from a statistics perspective, the city of Pasadena has a little over 140,000 people who live in the city, and we account for about over 100,000 total jobs. The city itself, the city organization's annual budget is this year $870 million, so almost $1 billion budget that comes through the city of Pasadena. And what we're considered a full service city, which means we have our own police and our fire department, but also we run a number of other businesses too. The city of Pasadena runs their own water and power utility. We have a convention center and also a Rose Bowl stadium. And one of the unique things that I'll touch on a little bit is that we have our own public health department. Only Pasadena and Long Beach are the two cities in Southern California that have their own health jurisdiction, which is independent of Los Angeles County. And so that will shine a light a little bit on some of the things that we've been doing with our public health department. So as you can imagine, just like what you've heard in the press, a lot of things that are happening in a lot of your organizations, there have been some huge impacts to the city. You know, normally Pasadena has over 500 restaurants that is normally a regional draw, and a lot of that has been shut down or has been modified to takeout only. Retail, we have our business districts have had significant job and revenue loss. Our Rose Bowl, our convention center, we have lots of concerts and big events with superstars coming to Rose Bowl predominantly and doing concerts, and that's all been a hard stop. Our hotels, our cultural and recreational visits, such as museums and so forth, are close to zero. And one of the big spotlights that we've made in the city is that we have our own public health department, which is here to lead our community through what's happening with COVID-19 in terms of the closing of things that took place early on and also the reopening plan. And so that's a huge spotlight, which is unique for Pasadena versus other cities in our area. So behind the scenes, I want to let you know as well too, that nearly all city services continue to operate. There are some in-person services that have required modifications, such as drop-off only in our permit centers, or we have drive-through services at our city libraries. But to give you a sense of this, about 60% of all city staff continue to report to work in the city. And that's because we have our fire department and our paramedic groups. We have our police department. We have sanitation. We have our utility crews for water and power. And of course, we have our public health department who are working around the clock to make sure that they're supporting our community. And for the other 40% of people are mainly office workers and are working from home. And for our department in technology, the majority of our employees are telecommuting, and about 10% of our staff continue to report to work on site to support those employees and field services that are continuing to operate. So also want to just mention, what is the city doing differently right now? And our number one concern is health and public safety of all of our constituents. And public health, of course, is the main focal point in what we're doing. And that's providing guidance and guidelines and policies for reopening that were happening now. They're also doing all the analyzing of all the cases that are happening, people who are contracting COVID-19. They're looking at hospitalization and death rates and demographics and other information that are coming from clinics and hospitals. And they're also managing contact tracing so that someone who has contracted COVID-19, we're able to go and find out who they are, how they interacted with, and help manage the spread. They're also planning with the county, LA County, LA City, and state health officials in all of the plans that are happening across of our state. But we also have public safety functions. We have code compliance, making sure that businesses that are reopening are safe for customers who are coming. There's also a lot of services that have been offered by the city. There's been numerous webinars on a variety of topics about grants for businesses, how to interpret portions of the CARES Act, reopening guidance, and this is geared towards particular business sectors. There's weekly newsletters that come out to businesses and residences, and you can sign up for this as well through our city website. And then quickly, an overall relief and support effort that's happening across our city. There's been $11 million of refunds given to electric customers in Pasadena, a rebate that is helping support and dealing with the people to get more money back in their pockets. There's $500,000 that have been provided for small business grants through the Pasadena Community Foundation, and applications for this money, as well as some additional contributions made by independent donors. Those applications are due by July 10th at the Pasadena Community Foundation if you look them up. Recently, there was announced $1 million in emergency rental assistance for low-income renters, and that opportunity opens up on July 15th. There's been a number of other programs, one called Great Plates, which is delivering meals to seniors. There's been staffing centers, testing centers set up at the Rose Bowl. They're no longer there, but they were there for well over a month. There's nearly free summer camp available for children that just began this Monday for the summer. There's been food and distribution support to students and families in collaboration with food banks in the local area and the Pasadena Unified School District. So these are just some of the highlights of the many programs and services that the city has spearheaded or has collaborated with to help deal with our COVID-19 related issues. And I want to point out that this is in addition to all the regular city's work that we do on a day-to-day basis. So maybe we want to ask at this point, what's the CITs doing throughout this time? And what we're doing is we're utilizing and we're trying to find solutions for meetings that are taking place virtually, access to a lot of these services, providing data where it's necessary, and to support our economic development initiatives, especially around this reopening. And so we've been tasked to think creatively on how we can work together during this crisis, pushing boundaries and demonstrating value. And it's a great time to demonstrate the value of IT in the city organization and our community. And I bet it's the same thing for a lot of the businesses that you're in as well. So let's get back into what this is, which is AMA, which is the Ask Me Anything. And as a reminder, the Q&A on the ribbon below is an opportunity for you to write any question for me, and I'll try my best to answer. As a part of the registration, there was an opportunity to submit a bunch of questions. And so I have those questions already, and let's just get into it. Right, so the first question was, what are some of the new technologies you've rolled out, and which do you think will become a standard part of business operations coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic? I think it's a pretty good question there. So I'd say mobility solutions are certainly the fastest growing service that we are rolling out across our city organization. One of the tools that we have used is Office 365, and we've had Office 365 for some time. But just like Office 365, there's Google Apps, and there's other products that provide all these kind of cloud services that allow people to work more remotely. But our challenge has been, I would say, inspiring city staff to use Office 365. That has been a slow process over the last almost 2 years we've had Office 365. But after a lot of people started working from home, immediately we began seeing huge usage metrics are growing exponentially as people were discovering use cases and utilizing the services that were available. And we had to help support all of our user base to help them spark interest, giving them some ideas on how they could use these products. We curated videos, we even created our own videos. We've invested in training and tons of marketing and also countless hours in performing in-person and online meeting trainings to individuals and groups, and an occasional house call to our elected officials. Another big area that we've been investing a lot into is developing new online services, where we had plenty of things in the pipeline, but they were running at a very slow iterations. But now we've picked up the pace and we're launching certain applications in just days. And so there's a lot of new forms online, a lot of new applications to transact in the digital world. And one example of this, for those of you who have a lot of the restaurants, is that we have an express permit process that's available online for restaurants to apply for outdoor dining and to submit reopening plans for the city's review. Another thing that's been really important has been about continuing our major projects and not stopping. And we've doubled down to make sure that we even launch some of these while we're in COVID. And one example is a project that we've been working on for a number of years, and that's replacing the city's permitting system. And the old permitting system was over 20 years old, and it was not set up for online services or for mobile services at all. And we made a conscious decision to press forward and actually launch that system just on June 8th, just a month ago. And the system touches over 250 users in the city and thousands of customers across our region. And we were able to do this by not having a lot of customers who are in our offices, but instead focusing on online training, online services, and helping our people get started in publishing. So we took an opportunity to really replace a big, huge system. And we did that while there was a little bit of downtime for us to deliver. And this new system has a bunch of new online services and functions and data that is really going to help us meet our customers' needs in the future. And so my point here is that we've never stopped. Our existing projects continue to move forward while we've been absorbing new expectations and new requests daily. And in fact, I'm so pleased that we've been able to balance and reprioritize so quickly to take advantage of this monumental change that I think that we have in technology. So much so that we've been focusing on lots of solutions and prioritizing all the ones that enable us to work remotely or more efficiently. And so some of those projects that we've been working on or we've even completed just in the last 3 months that will continue to be here beyond COVID-19 is a big rollout of digital signatures. We're putting in lots more online workflows. We have a lot of collaboration tools and software that we've been rolling out. We've implemented some texting services rather than just email. We've retooled our whole employee communications, emergency communications processes. We've pushed some of our call centers to be remote. And we've also done a lot of on-site improvements for those people who are still working in city offices. We've been improving Wi-Fi coverage. We've been outfitting all of our computers with video cameras and headsets by default. And right now we're planning out how we're going to retrofit and invest in conference rooms with video tech capabilities, because when people start to return, we'll continue to be doing online meetings much more than we did in the past. So with all this, I really believe that we've been able to move the needle forward by maybe 5 years or more because we've been able to focus a lot more attention into delivering a new way of services and new technologies and solutions to our city employees, but also to the customers that we serve. All right, that was a mouthful. And the next question here is, of the innovations you've championed as a result of COVID-19, what has been the greatest impact, and can you quantify its value to the city? Well, one that comes to mind is a really important dashboard that we created to provide information, daily information on COVID-19 that was going to be for easy consumption by the public, by elected officials, by the press, by everybody. And if any of you go look at the city's homepage or the Pasadena Public Health website, you'll see that there's an interactive dashboard of daily COVID-19 cases and a variety of metrics about those cases. And why that was such an important achievement, even though it seems somewhat small, is that the construction of all that data used to be in creating into a static PDF document that was created manually by public health people and staff. And within the first month of COVID, the demand for that data on a daily basis and then historic information was so tremendous that we had to step up and create an interactive dashboard that could meet the daily needs of our public health staff and the press and elected officials, and offload all the inquiry and a lot of the processing that was happening by public health staff. So that was a huge major leap for our public health to get an interactive dashboard up there. And behind the scenes, we were creating this automated dashboard and management tools to provide quick and easy updates. And right now we're looking at additional technologies like using RPA, robotic process automation, to ingest many more data sets that come in from the hospitals, from the clinics, from the labs on a daily basis to help synthesize and aggregate this information more effectively and timely. Okay, another question here. How will city employees and customers work differently with the city now that things are starting to reopen? Well, like everyone, we've turned to video conferencing tools to interact with internally between our staff and also with many of our customers. And we've all become experts in Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, and the like. The City of Pasadena, we have standardized on Teams. And not to say we don't use everything else, but Teams is what we're really pushing. And we're seeing a tremendous growth in usage. And in a report that I saw, just in the month of June alone, there were over 1,400 Teams meetings that took place. And that's astonishing, going from an organization where we really were doing just telephone conferencing and very little video meetings. And right now we're in the process of rolling out online appointment scheduling to all of our service areas that require in-person visits in the next few weeks. And we're going to be including an option for virtual appointments if possible. This isn't new technology or capabilities. Online appointments have been around for a long time, but this is an example of how we're using technology to change our business delivery models and in rapid time. And these new technologies aren't going to go away. Our customers want to be virtual and mobile, and there is no need for them to come into the office if we can replace these outdated processes that require in-person visits. So I believe, our job in IT, especially in the city, are to solve the problems of today. And we're focused on the technology to change the business practices that will make it much more convenient today and also as we come out of COVID-19. So, okay, another question here. How did you manage endpoint security on newly issued and bring your own devices? So, well, I mentioned we have Office 365, and that would be our main portal into a lot of the online services that we provide to our staff who are not on site. We also have a virtual desktop solution. So once someone comes through our VPN tunnel, they can get into a virtual desktop, which is essentially run within a city data center. And so it enables us to protect and control what comes in, what goes out. Another thing we're doing is kind of a little old school, is that we also use the VPN service for people to remote into their physical desktops that could be in their offices. And so that's another way of limiting exposure between someone's personal devices at home and then coming into city assets. But for all of this, we use multi-factor authentication to access anything externally. And right now we are working on expanding our mobile device management system to our city-issued laptops for them to be able to actually have direct connections through VPN, so that it looks like that they're just on our network. But we need the ability to manage those devices remotely first, and so we're actively have a project to get that going. All right, next question here is, how is the City of Pasadena handling conferencing in a post-COVID world? So I think this means conferencing as in like going to a conference potentially. Um, and so our preference and what I've seen a lot of people will be doing now is video and virtual is our preferred method for conferencing at the moment. And that's going kind of well, but I think we're missing a dimension, which I'll mention in a second. And are we going to be going to conferences? I'd say no. Most everything's been canceled. So I don't think any conferences we'll be going to anytime soon. But will we be going to conferences again? And I think yes. I'm pretty sure yes. I believe that we need person-to-person interactions for relationship building. And so that personal experience in going to a conference and meeting with other people, I think is really important for learning and for networking. But at the same time, I am looking forward to new innovations that haven't even been thought of yet to improve the virtual experience. And hopefully, maybe right here in our own backyard in Pasadena, there's an entrepreneur right now developing some new technology that will enhance our interactions when person-to-person kind of conferencing isn't available. And if anyone of you are working on that, I'll be your beta tester. Please reach out to me. All right, next question here. What initiatives does the city take in protecting people's privacy? Okay, well, we have regular audits of our systems, data, we have policies and procedures, and we perform audits like risk assessments, PCI audits, and we have other regulatory audits that we're subject to because we have a utility, because we have a public health department, because we have a criminal information and through our police. Also, any new software system or solution goes through an IT security review, and we ask questions like what and how data is going to be collected and stored, and is it secured and it's encrypted, so that we can make sure that we're doing anything that may have some personally identified information, we're keeping that secure. And also, we try to minimize any collection of personal information data entirely. You know, much of the city's data is already public. And so our PII data sets are relatively small, and we try to keep it that way. Okay, next question. What are the top use cases emerging that evolve the digital workforce? And are you helping companies move to more digital processes that enable greater safety required by COVID? Well, how we're doing to move our workforce and also, I would say, our customers who are working with the city. Well, we already mentioned, you know, online virtual appointments. We mentioned rolling out more online self-service options. I mentioned we're rolling out digital signatures to facilitate, speed up business processes. We're beginning a phase 2 of our permitting system to replace, so that everything can be done electronically. So electronic plan checks and reviews, so that people don't have to visit our permit center any longer, and iterative plan reviews with planning staff can be just done using online software. I know we're looking at virtual inspections rather than city employees visiting businesses and residences for their inspection purposes, actually do this all virtually. So we're looking at that. We're expanding and working with our public health department to expand telehealth services. You may have heard recently the Rose Bowl had a virtual America Fest for the July 4th celebration. So moving an event entirely online is kind of unique and new. And overall, you know, as staff return to work, we are asking the question, what functions are these employees performing for them to be required in the office? And can we move it to a digital version so they don't have to come back? Kind of my thoughts on here really is that this is, you know, faster than ever. You know, we're changing how the city is doing business, and we're implementing tons of solutions and technology to solve the problems of today. Let's see what other questions have come in. So this is a shout out. The Gorilla Mask Movement was one of the programs that actually donated 2,400 KN95 masks to City of Pasadena. Big shout out for Henry. You can actually look up Gorilla Mask Movement online. They are still taking donations and helping distribute necessary PPE to the hospitals and to city staff. Here's another one. Hi, Phillip. If we are a new IT vendor to the city and we'd like to reach out and have our executives in our national transformation office talk to me about new solutions, what's the best way to do that? Anyone who wants to be a vendor of the city, the best place is to go to our website, go to doing business with the city, and make sure you register your business, because that is the best chance you'll receive to hear about opportunities that we have coming up. And for those of you who have something you think that the city should be looking at, feel free to contact me. My email address is pleclair, P-L-E-C-L-A-I-R at cityofpasadena.net. And feel free to send me any brochures or any information about your business, and I can distribute that to the different business areas within our department or our city. And if there's a match that's something we want to talk to you more about, we will. Let's see what else we have. Can you talk a little bit about what you're using for contract tracing solutions and how you work to accurately trace and inform across cities within LA County and those outside the county or even the state? I don't have too much detail on how we do it. I do know that the contract tracing solution is a statewide solution, and I believe it was either developed by or at least managed by Census. And if someone was looking for more information about what that product was, just send me an email and I can find out exactly for sure. But we have our cadre of city staff that actually have been reassigned from other parts of our organization to help our public health department with contract tracing. All right. Here's another question. How do you think the world will evolve past COVID? A lot of teams are remote right now, and will they go back to office post-COVID-19? And will there be a lot less demand for office space in the future? So I don't have a crystal ball, but my personal take on it, especially when it comes to the technology staff, is that we will be, well, our philosophy in our city right now is that if you are able to work from home, then you should. We're not trying to bring anyone back that doesn't have to be back in the office. In fact, we do have people in my department who do come back in. Maybe they have to pick up something in the mail, they'll have to sign something, maybe they're in for a couple hours, meeting with colleagues. But really, we're trying our best to not be in the office. And I think, at least for the city and for the future, that is going to become more and more permanent. And I think that may cause a reduction in the needs of our current office footprint. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime really quickly or anytime soon. But I think that with more office space, there's going to be more opportunity, certainly, for hopefully more businesses and more Innovate Pasadena technology innovation companies to come to Pasadena. Well, we are at 12:30, and I know there are more questions here, and I apologize in advance if I wasn't able to get to your questions, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So please email me if you would like me to answer your question, again at pleclair@cityofpasadena.net. And just one more minute for just a closing remark, is that I want to thank all of you for participating today. I know this is really fast, and I kind of feel like we needed an hour. So maybe if you leave some comments at Innovate Pasadena, once this video is posted, and by the way, that's where it will be posted on innovatepasadena.org, you can feel free to write a comment, feel free to share it, and we can continue this dialogue if there's more that you want to ask for me. And so, as I mentioned before, feel free to send me a question or comment if I haven't answered today, or just let me know if you thought today's Ask Me Anything session was helpful. And one more public service announcement. We are doing in the middle of the census for 2020. And so if you haven't done your census, or you have neighbors or friends or family that you could encourage them to complete the census, it's very important to all cities across this country that we have an accurate census. And it's really easy to do. And visit mycensus2020.gov for more information. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Look forward to seeing you when we can. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thanks.